In this video, I want to walk you quickly through how to just audit your campaign settings to make sure everything is set up properly and there are no mishaps here. Now, this step may or may not be very applicable to most of you watching this. If you set up all your campaigns from scratch, you know they're solid, and you don't have multiple people working in your Google Ad account, then you might not need to do this. But if you are working in a big account with multiple people, then this is worth doing, especially if you're taking over a new account for the first time. You're going to want to make sure you audit the campaign settings of those campaigns in that account. So what you're going to do is just going to go into the Google Ads editor and you're going to open up the settings feature here for each campaign. Now, I understand if you have a lot of campaigns, this can be quite tedious, but it is worth doing. One thing you could do is you could also look at these settings in aggregate in the Google Ads editor, but I personally just prefer doing it in the UI. So what I do is I open up the settings here and then I just go through each setting one by one and just make sure everything looks good. So number one, campaign name. Do we have a campaign naming convention in place that actually is reflective of what the information we want to see and easily report on? Next is conversion goals. Do we have conversion goals applied to this campaign? In this case, we have account-wide conversion goals that we're taking into consideration. That may or may not be a bad thing, depending on if all of the conversions that you have in your account are worth being associated to this campaign. But if you only wanted specific conversions to be associated to this campaign, then that could be a red flag. And okay, wait a second, I've got to go in here and switch this to campaign specific and then choose the campaign goals that you want to be associated. Moving on is customer acquisition. This one, I don't have a lot of data to give you suggested feedback here on if clicking this button actually impacts performance versus not. Really kind of up to you on what you want to do and if you want to test that, but we haven't seen any consistencies on putting this button is a game changer or not. So we typically just leave it off for the time being, and then if we think it's worthwhile, we'll turn it on. But to be honest, we don't have a lot of insight here. Moving on is marketing objective. Do you have the right marketing objective selected? This is really just a factor of allowing you to see all the different campaign settings available. We typically go with no goal guidance, so we can see all of the available options and then be able to customize our campaigns to the fullest. Next is your networks. Do you have the right networks associated to your campaign? So for us, we're talking about Google Ads, specifically search ads. We don't want to have display and Google search together. That's a huge no-no. That's just going to inflate your total impressions, reduce your click-through rate, which is going to hurt your quality score. So instead, what we do is we focus on search network and the search partners if we're finding good performance by the search partners. If we're not, then we will probably opt out of it, but we like to stay with it in the beginning. Moving on is your locations. Do you have the right location set? And more importantly, do you have the right location options selected? So it's often that people will select presence or interest by mistake. And really what they want is presence. So you want to reach people who are actually physically located in the target location, not people who are interested in the target location. So for example, I could be in Russia and I could be searching, hotels in Miami, and then I could be seeing local listings and ads from Miami in Russia, just if I were to select this option versus I only want to reach people in Miami, then you're going to want to make sure you target presence as a location option. Moving on is languages. You want to make sure you have one language per campaign with relevant keywords and ads and landing pages in that language. So in this case, it's all in English. Next is your bidding. Do you have the right bid strategy associated to your campaign? So bidding and bidding strategies, this is always circumstantial depending on your goals and your objective. But generally speaking, we like to focus on using manual bidding or maximize clicks in the beginning of a new campaign. Let it accrue 15 conversions a month. And then we'll shift over to doing some sort of conversion-based bid strategy like target CPA or maximize conversions. And we'll run it as a campaign experiment to just see how it performs against the manual bidding. So user discretion here, whatever makes sense for you, but make sure you have the right bid strategy associated. Moving on is your campaign URL options. Do you have a tracking template applied to your campaigns? So you can see in this case, we don't have a campaign URL tracking template. So then from here, I'm going to want to dig deeper. I want to make sure, okay, do we have UTMs applied at least at the ad level directly in the links? And then this is an opportunity if we don't have campaign tracking templates to apply them, because campaign tracking templates are far superior because it's going to allow us to pass all these dynamic information like the keyword that drove the click, the device that the click was originated on, and so on and so forth. So making sure you have tracking templates somewhere in your campaign structure. If not at the campaign level, then at least at the ad level. But I personally prefer doing it at the campaign level because you just do it once in one place and then all your ads inherit the settings. And that's really it. You're just going to do this process for each of your campaigns. Super tedious, but worthwhile. There's a great thing about doing this once and doing it right so that you don't have to worry about it. And then from here, if you are working with multiple people, you can just keep your eye on the change history log to see if there's any new notable updates that come through.